All right, let's dive into Salesforce's new AI, Agentforce. And I mean, you could pretty much forget what you know about basic chatbots and smart assistants. This is a whole different ballgame. We're moving from AI that assists you to AI that actually acts for you. Yeah, we're talking about truly autonomous agents.
And that really gets to the core question of this whole explainer, right? Think about the tools you're using today. Are they just following a script, kind of like a glorified checklist? Or can they actually reason and take action on their own? That difference is absolutely massive, and it's what separates the past from the future we're stepping into. So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the old way, the limits of those basic bots. Then we'll get into the new AI agents, take a peek inside their brain, and figure out how we give them instructions. We'll wrap things up with some really cool real-world examples, and then look at what's coming next for AI.
Okay, so before we can really appreciate where we're going, we have to understand the problem we're leaving behind. What exactly was wrong with yesterday's AI? You see, the early AI assistants, like the first versions of Agentforce Assistant, they were helpful. They could co-create things with you, which was cool. But they had some serious limits. They weren't really conversational, they'd get tripped up on follow-up questions, and if you gave them a more complex job, their performance would actually get worse. They were just stuck on a predefined path.
This slide really just lays it all out, doesn't it? The old assistants used what's called a chain of thought model. Basically, they'd make a plan, and they'd stick to it, no matter what. If that initial plan was wrong, game over. It just failed. The new Agentforce agents, though, they use a react model. They reason, then act, then observe, and then adjust. They can actually self-correct, and that right there is a huge leap forward.
Which brings us to the solution. And look, this isn't just a simple upgrade. Salesforce is really framing this as a completely new way to think about automation. So, what even is an Agentforce agent? Well, the key is right there in the first two words, autonomous and proactive. This is not a tool that just sits there waiting for you to tell it every little step. Nope. It's an application that can understand a goal, come up with a plan, and then adapt that plan on the fly to get the job done, all by itself.
And Salesforce isn't being shy about this. They're calling it a quantum leap. This is designed to shake up every part of a business, from how you sell your products to how you handle your customer service calls.
So how in the world does this actually work? Let's pull back the curtain a little and look at the core tech that makes all of this possible. The secret sauce, the real magic here, is what Salesforce is calling the Atlas Reasoning Engine. And honestly, thinking of it as a brain is the perfect analogy. This is what gives the agent the power to actually think, not just execute commands. And what does this brain do? Well, it's a full-on decision-making framework. It doesn't just see a command, it understands the entire context around it. It looks at all the tools it has available, picks the best one for the job, and can even chain a bunch of actions together into a complex workflow. This is what lets it solve problems that used to take a human, saving tons of time and making everything way more efficient.
And this shows that React model we talked about perfectly. The Atlas engine is basically running in this constant loop. First it reasons, it thinks about the goal, then it acts, it picks a tool and uses it. Then, and this is the really critical part, it observes what happened. Did that work? Did anything change? And based on that observation, it just repeats the loop, getting smarter and more dialed in with every cycle until the job is done.
But even the most powerful brain on the planet still needs clear instructions to do its best work. And that's where prompt engineering comes into play. The great thing is, you don't have to write a brand new instruction from scratch every single time. Instead, you create what are basically recipes for the AI. They're called prompt templates, and they let you build consistent, reusable sets of instructions for your agents. Now, the crucial thing to get here is that these are not just static text commands. A prompt template is a data-driven instruction. It's hooked directly into your Salesforce data, which means the agent isn't just making things up. It's grounded in the reality of your business. It's generating responses that are totally aware of the specific customer or record right in front of it. Let's make this real with an example. A static prompt is super basic. Summarize this account. Okay, but what parts? For whom? A dynamic prompt using a template is way more powerful. It pulls in the specific account name, it grabs the annual revenue, and it even knows to go look at related opportunities to suggest what to do next. It's the difference between a generic summary and a real strategic brief. So how do you build a great prompt? It really just boils down to these four things. You got to define the AI's role. Who is it? Give it context. What's the situation? State a clear goal. What are we trying to achieve? And finally, set some constraints. What are the rules of the road?
If your prompt has all 4 of those elements, you're going to get a much better, much more predictable result.
So all this theory is great, but how does this stuff actually come together in the real world? What can this technology really do for a business?
Okay, for a sales team, imagine you're prepping for a huge client meeting. Instead of spending an hour digging through records and files, the agent just generates a perfect executive summary in seconds. That's a whole hour of strategic thinking your team gets back for every single meeting.
And in customer service, this is a massive time saver. A customer sends a vague message like, "I can't log in." The agent can figure out what they probably mean, a password reset, and just automatically kick off the right workflow. The problem gets solved instantly. That means a happier customer and a less stressed support team. It's a win-win.
Or think about something more complex, like in finance. A customer wants to know the status of their loan. Now that info might be spread across multiple systems. An agent can query the financial services cloud, call an external banking API, and bring back one single, real-time answer. That kind of instant clarity, that builds some serious trust.
So when you put all of this together, it becomes pretty clear that this is way more than just a new product feature. It's really part of a much bigger evolution.
Salesforce actually frames this as the third wave of AI. The first wave, that was predictive AI, stuff that analyzed data to tell you what might happen. The second wave was copilots, which worked alongside you to help you get tasks done. This third wave, autonomous agents, is about AI that can complete entire workflows all on its own, anticipating what you need and making decisions without you constantly looking over its shoulder.
And that's really the big question this technology leaves us with. It's not a matter of if we'll use AI anymore, it's all about how. So if you could hand off one complex, tedious, time-sucking task to a truly autonomous agent right now, what would it be? The answer to that question is the future we are all stepping into. Thanks for joining me.